Right, so we're back in the shed and it's time to work on this thing. Yeah, it seems all I do is work on the cars and don't use them, but that's just the way it goes when you're playing with these things. So we're about 6 weeks or 7 weeks out from Wild Dog Winch Challenge. I have signed up for it. So yeah, if you're keen to go and watch, make sure you head to the Facebook page, Wild Dog Winch Challenge, and you will be able to buy tickets for spectating. This year, fairly certain it's only the Sunday that's spectating. From what I can gather, there's a little bit of different format going on with the Saturday, which yeah, is not allowing spectators. So Sunday's the only day you can watch, but Sunday is actually probably the funnest day, and all the action's real close, and yeah, there's some good viewing and things like that. So go check that out. Yeah, you'll see us there, and yeah, if you do see us there, come say good day. But yeah, so this is what we're doing. We're working on the car. I haven't actually started it. I started it the other day, but I haven't started it since November. Since would have been the video where me and Sherry went out and he was in his red car and we went to Walhalla and things like that. That was the last time I drove it and actually started it. And because I was running the one Haltech between the two cars, yeah, I've been real busy with the wagon obviously, and that has had the computer the whole time. But I did lash out. So I don't know if you're about to see that. Fresh Haltech in there. So for the first time since I built this car and the other car, yeah, they can both run at the same time, which is, you can only drive one at a time, but it just saves things like this. If I did already have the computer in it, I would have driven it like a while ago just to drive it around. But yeah, I haven't even started it because it hasn't had the computer in it. So that's one thing we've done. Yeah, I parked it up pretty much ready. There was only a few small things to get it race ready. I am going to pick up the winch hopefully next week, which you will see probably in next week's video. I'll put it in that. So stay tuned for that. Fresh winch on the front. The wagon is actually not here at the moment, but by the time you see this, I'll have it back. But that is at the panel beaters getting all the other stuff finished off. So yeah, the plan is to work on this and finish this bloody bar work. So when the wagon gets back, I can put it all together. Because Wild Dog is the 4th to the 6th of June, and the weekend after that's Queen's birthday. So every year we do a boys trip on Queen's birthday. This year's going to be no different. But having Wild Dog the weekend before, and currently both cars not going, I actually need to get both cars ready before Wild Dog, because I'm going to have no time to work on it that couple days before Queen's birthday. So yeah, that's the plan. Try and get it all done. As far as work on this stuff goes, nothing too interesting that I'll show you, but I will show you the couple of things. I've got to pull the rear coilovers out, revalve them. The shock shafts don't look too good. They're a bit pitted, so I do have one spare one, so I'll be putting one spare one in. But anyway, we'll pull that apart and I'll show you what I'm doing with the valving and things like that, and the winch. But that's the main things. Other than that, it's just boring stuff. I see my axle seals are leaking, so yeah, front end apart, check that. Right before the race, I'll pull the rear diff out and check the rear axles. That's just normal maintenance before the race. 100% check the rear axles, because yeah, patrol rear axles, where they neck down into the diff, that's where they always break. So if you break a rear axle, the chances are it is in the diff and it makes a mess. It destroys the locker and it does a number. So I religiously check rear axles, because it takes 10 minutes to pull them out. So if you're one of them people that gives your car a hard time, I would be checking axles very often, because it can save you a lot of money. So when setting the car up for racing, when getting it ready, yeah, I generally just check over everything. Bushes, axles, oils, everything like that. You don't want any silly problems when you're racing. Like, fair enough if you break something or you hit something and you smash something, that's part of it. But yeah, if you have like a silly problem, like the panhard nut comes off and your panhard falls off or something stupid like that, that's the stuff that you don't want to happen. So just general maintenance and things like that. I am having a couple small dramas with the 24 volt alternator. It's not charging, so I've got to whip that off and have a look, which is pretty boring. You probably won't see that. But yeah, other than that, just a general check over the car. When you race, you get a logbook for the car, and it has to be scrutineered every year. But I haven't raced for a couple of years now, so I've got to get that done. I've got to get a yearly scrutiny done, and it gets signed off. And then when you go to the event, it gets an event scrutineered. So yeah, there's a fair bit to do. I've actually got to look up the rules because there's been a few small changes. I know that you got to have flashing rear lights if there's a multiple car on course stage, which I think there is. I'm not really sure, I'm just sort of guessing, but that's something I've got to do. Rear lights, and yeah, a couple other small things. Pack me tools, and yeah, snatch block and winch dampen, all that crap's got to go in there, and just set the car up so I can just turn the key and yeah, it's ready to race. So I was half contemplating maybe putting new tyres on it, but I haven't actually found a tyre that I'd like to race on other than these, the pit bulls. Yeah, so tyres is a real hard choice. There's nothing really out there that's readily available that's similar to these. So yeah, I don't know when you're there. These tyres have been on the car since 2017, and they've done a couple races and a few drives and things like that. They're actually still not too bad. So anyway, that's just going to be what it is, and yeah, we'll have a quick look over the car. And that's that. The coilovers are out. It's like pretty easy, it takes like 10 minutes, so it's always good.
Now, which shock was bad? I think it's this one. Yeah, this one here. I'll show you better when I pull the springs off it, but
it's pretty pitted. What happened last time I raced, this inside the spring ended up full of like these little rocks, and then as we were racing, yeah, like the rocks were inside the spring and smashing around in there, and then yeah, that was the start of it. So like it didn't do too much, but it was just around the bottom, and then yeah, obviously ever since then it's just like progressively getting worse. And probably also like they're like the cheapest coilovers you can buy, probably, I don't know, but they're pretty cheap, so it's a thing, like you get what you pay for. So yeah, like the new shaft was like $30 or something. Like they're cheap. They do, like, they work. I've had zero problems with them. They work, and like realistically, like when I bought these, I didn't even know how to pull the springs off them. So yeah, like I didn't want to spend big bucks on coilovers. I'd never mounted them, I'd never played with them. It was just like the chassis was bare, and I thought now's the time to do it. It's a good learning curve. So yeah, that was good. You know, they're cheap enough to, doesn't matter if you do something wrong or, you know, whatever. Yeah, it's just it was more of a massive learning curve, which I did learn heaps. Like if I'd done this all again, there's not much that I'll do the same, but you only get that experience from doing something like this. So anyway, we'll pull the springs off. I've just got to take some measurements here, because this is a top retainer nut for the springs. I'll explain a bit more in a minute. But yeah, if you wind that down, that'll lift the car up. So if you wind it up, it'll lower the car. And yeah, obviously adds preload or takes preload off the spring. You need a certain amount of preload on the spring and blah, 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 but we'll get into that in a minute. So yeah, they're out, and we'll strip them down. So pretty much we've got this little tool, and it locks into this top nut, and we just undo. So that'll pull the preload off the springs. It's like, I think it's got about 1.5 inches of preload. Yeah, they say about 1 inch of preload is good, but yeah, different preload will make the shock work differently. So with coilovers, it's got a 300-pound bottom spring and a 250 or 275 top. And what that means is it takes 300 pounds, we'll go the bottom spring, 300 pounds to compress that spring 1 inch. but because it's got two different spring rates with this divider, when they're working together, there's a calculation you can do. I'm pretty sure it's you times a spring together and then divide them. It's something along those lines, and then it gives you a spring rate of how they work together. I'll actually do the calculation now. So just done the calculation to explain a bit better. So it was 300 bottom spring, 250 top spring, and you go 300 times 250 and then divide that by the springs added together, which is 550. So that gave me 136. So what that's saying is when these springs are working together, it's the equivalent of a 136 pound spring. So it takes 136 pounds to go 1 inch, and then obviously increases from there to, what would that be, 272 for 2 inch, and blah blah blah. So these are 12-inch coilovers. They roughly run at 6 and 6, so 6-inch up and 6-inch down. And then there's this little divider nut in here, and what that does is when the shock and springs compress, this coil divider hits this stop nut, and then it only works off the bottom spring then. So once this goes up, hits a stopper, and then it's only working off the bottom spring. So what that does is you go from having the equivalent of a 136 pound spring, hits that stop nut, works off the bottom spring, which is 300 pounds. So you could set it up so it's 3 inches of up travel at 136 pound spring, hits this stopper, and then you've got 3 inches of up travel at a 300 pound spring for like super hard hits. So yeah, if you got 3 inch up travel, it's nice and plush, and then hits a bottom spring and it's nice and firm for the big hits. So obviously valving comes into play as well, which I am about to play with, because the compression's a little bit stiff. I'm gonna actually put a like a flutter stack in, see how that goes, and then it needs way more rebound dampening because it kicks the arse up. It's not as bad. Last time I had these out not long ago, I did actually add more rebound dampening, but it needs more. So obviously with that comes heat and whatever, so it's all stuff I've got to look at and keep an eye on. But yeah, I'm just playing. But yeah, I quite enjoy playing with these coilovers. There's a lot of, much like the bypass shock, there's a lot of adjustability with your ride, and yeah, it's crazy how a different spring or a slightly different valving will change the car characteristics heaps. So I've actually got a lot of springs because I went through a lot of springs trying to set it up properly at the start, trying to work it all out. And probably another thing that's good with these is you can actually work out your corner weights with your coilovers in. So if you are doing coilovers or something like this and you need corner weights, all you need is any old springs. If you had mates with springs or springs you could borrow that fit on your coilovers, and then mount them in the car, you can actually work out your corner weight. So yeah, if, you know, like we said, 136 pound it works as. So if you lowered the car and it lowered 5 inches, it'd be 5 times 136 pound in that corner. So that's actually what I did. I worked out the corner weights before I bought the springs, but then I changed ride heights and I done all sorts of stuff. So I've got a few different springs, but that never goes astray because you never know when they're going to come in handy. All right, now that the spring's undone, you can see I actually had probably 2 inches of preload on that. We just lift the bottom up, slip that bottom plate out, and then the springs come out. Simple as that. And then it just looks like a threaded body shock. Alright, so I spent way too long doing that. Just trying to decide what to do is time consuming, and then measuring shims and whatever, and because there's only a couple thou between each shim and whatever, so it's very time consuming. Anyway, I've got one done. I've got the new shaft on. As you can see, the other shaft is rooted, so I don't know what I'll do with that. whether I'll get it re-chromed or something, I don't know. But yeah, like I said, new shafts are cheap. But anyway, see how long they last. So new shafts on, the ends on the shaft. And yeah, it's ready to go back together. I did do a little flutter stack. You probably won't be able to see that. No, I don't think so. So between the biggest shim and the second biggest shim, I put the smallest shim, which is inch diameter, just 10 thou, so spaced at 10 thou. And yeah, I'll see how that goes. I'll put it back together, do the other one, and hopefully it's all sweet. All right, so it's the next morning, and instead of making you sit through me putting this back together, yeah, I just smashed it out last night. So that's all done. The only thing left to do is put nitrogen in the shocks. I just put air in it for now to seat everything and just see how it all feels. So yeah, that's basically job done. Tick that off the list. I'm actually looking forward to seeing what the changes in the valving has made to it. So we'll get to that. I do have to pull the 24-volt alternator off this morning and sort out what's going on with that, whether I'll get another one or whatever. I don't know. I'll sort that out. And yeah, like I said, the winch is coming, but you'll see that next video. And this morning, I've just been tinkering with the rebar for the wagon. So filled all this in, which come up real good. Reassessed this bit in here, and yeah, them two bolts pick up the factory toe point bolts. But yeah, there's not too much left. I only just got to fill in that little bit and just weld out these top sections, and then clean it all up. And then, yeah, dare I say it, it's done, I hope, because I'm bloody sick of it. So all I've got to do now is just weld out the jerry can holder, but that's no big deal. I can wait until I've got a spare minute, and modify the spare wheel holder where the shovel went, because the gas strut's in the way. So that won't take long either. And yeah, next weekend looking like good weather, so I'm hoping to paint all this crap, and then I should have my other car back, my wagon, and then bolt all this stuff on. So these little sections have the tail lights in them, so that looks good there. Obviously with the spare wheel stub and the factory tail lights like right there, so you sort of have to do it. You have to put tail lights in the bar, just for better visibility, and having the spare wheel up in that corner and the jerry can holder and things like that blocks out partial vision of the tail lights. So yeah, I keep saying all this crap, but I'm looking forward to finishing it and getting on with bloody using the things. So all right, I'll get to pulling this alternator off. And there it is, 24-volt alternator. It's like bloody Tetris trying to get that out of there. I couldn't remember how I got it in last time, but it's actually got to go in through the wheel arch because of the shortened front. And yeah, this, I don't know if you'll see that, the panhard brace, the panhard mount brace runs along under the motor. So makes it tricky, but yeah, out through the wheel arch. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get Justin to look at that and see what he can come up with, and yeah, see if I have to get a new one or whatever, which is fine. Work all that out. But yeah, I will end the video here because realistically I've only got boring stuff to do. I'm just going to service this and whatever, like just stuff that you don't really want to see. But I will finish off the video with a clip of Wild Dog when me and Jake raced this. We did actually, it was a Sunday stage, we did actually win. It was one of the few stages that we won, and it was, yeah, bloody awesome stage. So I'll chuck the in-cab footage in after this, so stick around for that. It only goes for a couple of minutes. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to let me know. Always reading the comments and that, and drop a like, and make sure you subscribe to keep up with what's going on with this. And yeah, if you can to see us race Wild Dog, make sure you subscribe and yeah, keep an eye out, or better yet, buy tickets to it and come down and see it in person, because it is actually awesome to watch. It's real good. So yeah, we'll see you there, and we'll see you on the next video.
4, 3, 2, 1, go. getting back in? Go. Hang on.